Welcome back. I'm just paying a short visit to Housesteads Roman fort on Hadrian's Wall, built in the AD 120s. So I'm going to start our little visit looking at the Roman granaries. Originally just one building and then divided into two in the AD 170s. The original post lines are still visible between the adjoining walls. As we pan round heading north to the view you would get into the enemy territory, barbarian territory, there's this fantastic temporary art installation put up by English Heritage on site. It really gives you a good idea of the height of the tower and also the view that the soldiers would have had over their own fort. See the remains of some buildings built against the north wall and also the site of turret 36B, which was demolished when the fort was built over the top of it. The art installation gives us a great opportunity to view the site from above. You can see the Roman granaries again standing out nicely in this autumn sunlight, and as we pan round you can also see the remains of the barrack blocks which existed at the top of the fort, first built in AD 120 and then altered into chalet style building, possibly for use with soldiers and families, and this was built around 240. And now we're looking east along Hadrian's Wall, and below is the Nagburn Gatehouse, built in the 3rd century, and then swing around over the north wall. You can see the barrack blocks again coming into the picture. Interestingly, you can see 2 rows of stones behind the north wall between that and the barracks. This is actually to stop the turf rampart, the backing of the stone wall, from sliding down into the barrack rooms. Basically Roman revetting. So now we arrive at the heart of the fort, the headquarters building, and I'm just wandering into the cross hall, which was the site of everyday life for the fort. The commanding officer or a senior officer would have given out the password and the orders for the day. Letters and pay would have been kept here, records. The chapel of the standards is just off to my right. And now I'm just stepping out onto the road between the commanding officer's house and the headquarters building. There are several building phases at Housesteads, the main ones being AD 120s, some more work in the AD 170s, and also some work in the AD 260s towards the end of the fort's life. So now I'm entering the commanding officer's house. This was an extensive courtyarded building built in the Mediterranean style, used throughout the fort's life with many alterations. You can see dead ahead there's a heated underfloor system which was built in the late AD 260s. Possibly the dining room. You can see the raised surface where air would have passed underneath. There's a fantastic upper courtyard here. Lots of later work going on. Lots of walls been added throughout the time the fort was in existence. And I'm now dropping down through the courtyard to the lower area where the stables would have been. The commanding officer and his family would have lived on the upper floors, this building probably having 2 stories. We know through a lot of the fort's life the first cohort of Tungrians was based here, roughly a cohort of about 500 men. So dropping down the modern staircase, we approach the courtyard and stables, which is the lower course of the commanding officer's house. The courtyard has been repaved using monumental slabs, parts of window arches. You can see it and pick it out if you wander around the courtyard for a little while, get your eye in. It's quite fascinating to see all this reused Roman stone. Behind me to the right is the south gate of the fort, which was used in the medieval period, and a corn dryer was built into it as well. There's a nice water trough in the corner here you can see. During the Roman period, this must have been a hive of activity with the horses stabled in this area. You can imagine the riders coming in with messages, maybe the commanding officer mounting his horse along with the selected soldiers going out on a hunting trip into the fort's hinterland. So we just get a quick view of the south gate with its modern entrance. You can still see the wheel ruts in the threshold of the door. In the Roman period, the village just sat outside the doorway. You were being surrounded by houses and smoke and noise. So we pass one of the fort's corner towers. You'll also see a little set of steps which is how people got onto the ramparts. And now we arrive at the most famous part of Housesteads, the Roman latrines, which everybody wants to see. One of the best preserved Roman latrines, toilet blocks in the whole of Roman Britain, if not the best. The Roman army, hygiene was vitally important to keep the troops in tip-top condition, so sanitation was vitally important to every fort. This is just one of the Roman latrines that existed within the building on the southeast corner, so the waste would have drained out down the hill. Would have been quite a smelly place to live if you were down that end. The tanks provided rainwater runoff to flush the toilet. You would also have had basins in the centre there to wash your hands. If you read the guidebook, there's talk of sponges on sticks as toilet paper, but there's no evidence for this. The Roman soldiers would have gathered moss from the surrounding area and used that probably dried in a basket as toilet paper, as this is what we find in most Roman toilets during excavations. Anybody visiting the latrine would have just sat in long rows with no space, maybe having conversations, chats. There was no modesty in the Roman fort when it came to using the bathroom. The Roman drain that ran below the seats actually curves down in an angle, following gravity down to the lower part of the fort, where the water and waste would have drained out. During dry weather, it may have been a duty of an unfortunate soldier to actually having to get down there and shovel the waste out if the rainfall was low at that particular time. Not a particularly enjoyable or enviable job. If you've enjoyed this short video, and I hope you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It just helps the channel create more content. Thank you.